Welcome back to May 11th, 1998. It's Analyzing Attitude, episode 30. This is a fantastic one. The latter part of DX invading WCW happens tonight. They go to the CNN Center. Vince McMahon is also going to tag team with Stone Cold Steve Austin in the main event tonight. How does that turn out? There's also a giant bonfire and a huge bombshell. You're not going to want to miss this one. Go ahead and light the pyro. Welcome back to May 11th, 1998. For the first time in 3 weeks, Raw and Nitro are going back head-to-head against each other, Mike. I'm Jimmy Allen. That's the good doctor, Mike Sweeney. Nitro has been missing in action because of the NBA playoffs. They get all 3 hours back, Mike, and we're going to see how that affects the ratings tonight.
Yep, and they're following the steam that they had last week with another pretty good show. I feel like the pacing was a little bit off on this one compared to last week's, but nonetheless, you got to get the bad with the good sometimes, and this was another pretty good show.
Yeah, it was pretty great. And just a spoiler alert for our grades at the end of this one. There's also a very interesting ratings note as well, and we'll get to that at the end of the show. This is Analyzing Attitude, episode number 30, the big 3-0. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on TikTok as well. You can follow the social medias down below right there. Listen, this is one of those marquee nights in the Monday Night Wars. This is the night that Eric Bischoff comes out and challenges Vince McMahon to a fight at Slamboree. WCW is going to be in the backyard of the WWF. They're going to be just right across the river from the backyard and being in Boston for Slamboree. And the DX goes to the CNN Center in this episode of Raw. We'll get into all of that and more. But this is a really interesting time because WCW is just kind of throwing stuff at the wall to see if it sticks. And it's not like Vince McMahon to turn down a challenge. That's kind of the whole theme of Raw right now. So it's a really interesting time for Eric Bischoff to be doing this.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and actually, it's kind of funny that we're now in the time where WCW's throwing whatever at the wall to see what sticks because WWF was doing that, and now it's starting to actually feel like they got some pieces lined up and full-time stories that are going ahead.
Well, speaking of Vince McMahon, he opens up the show, and Vince McMahon comes out and he announces that Stone Cold Steve Austin will be in a tag team match tonight on Raw in the main event. And then he announces the new number one contender. It's the old number one contender. It's a much more professional looking dude. Love Mick Foley comes out in a suit and a tie. He's got his dentures in, hair combed over, glasses on. This is a really interesting look for a hardcore legend.
Oh my gosh. I think Lawler hit the nail on the head with he looks like a professor, or
he sure did.
JR, whoever said it. But in the dentures, man, I don't think I've ever seen Foley with a full set of teeth.
Even to this day. Yeah. Mick comes out and just talks about how sophisticated and educated he is, and he speaks multiple languages. He talks about he says he's a lover of women, a leader of men, and a pretty good dancer for how big he is. And just his smile with all his teeth is just weird. But he says he'll be the next WWF champion, and he mentions he almost lost his smile. A little bit of a random dig at Shawn Michaels here on a random Monday night. But Vince helped him find it, and the two hug it out. But Vince isn't done making announcements here. What did you think of Foley's reaction to becoming corporate Mick?
I thought it was perfect. Mick did a great job with it. They coming out in the suit, and as JR said on commentary, he's like, well, kind of, he's got parts of a suit on, and because he's still rocking the mall walkers from Walmart, and like, I don't know, it's like a tweed jacket, I don't know, and the half ass combed over hair. He looked great, and corporate Mick is a lot of fun.
Vince announces that there's not only going to be a number one contender announcement, but a special timekeeper, and it is the esteemed Gerald Briscoe. Remember, the Stooges are kind of in full swing of trying to join Vince McMahon and Mr. McMahon and really help him derail the Stone Cold Steve Austin train. But it's not just a special timekeeper, but he's also got a special guest ring announcer. and he introduces Pat Patterson. And Vince says that's not enough. There's also going to be a special guest referee. And he says this man has the highest level of integrity. He's got a masculine physique that any man would be jealous of. And here he is. And nobody comes out. Vince introduces this guy another time and says, I don't really like waiting. And nothing happens. So Vince says, I'll be right back. And he goes to the back to get this gentleman. And then Pat Patterson grabs the mic and says, here he is, the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And out walks Vince McMahon in a referee shirt. This was great, man. I mean, he's got the cutoff sleeves. He's doing the Hulk Hogan poses. It's all the shots of WCW, but also being wildly entertaining at the same time.
Yeah, and this is the first time we really realized like how muscular Vince McMahon was. Like he's
so
that's
interesting because you remember when they did the one-on-one match with Austin where Dude Love came out and interfered. He had the cutoff, but I agree with you, man. He looks even bigger here. Yeah, we all know Vince is into bodybuilding and all that, but I thought he looked in fantastic, even better shape in this one.
Absolutely, just looked like a freaking hoss, and a hoss wearing the zebra colors and all. But this is, and it's going to be a pretty much a theme going on here for a while. But this is a kind of a coming out party for Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson's new role, should we say, in the WWF?
Sure.
And they're playing it up to a T, and they're like with all due respect to them, they're hilarious ass kissers, and they can stay on the TV as long as it can.
Yeah, they're in an even bigger role next week, and we'll get into that at the end of the show. But not only did DX invade WCW a week ago, they're actually invading World Championship Wrestling in this episode of Raw. They don't go to the Norfolk Scope or wherever Nitro's being held. They go to the WCW headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, which you've seen the pictures of Titan Tower. It's massive. It's a statue built to Vince McMahon. The corporation is the WWE. Right. Kevin Nash talks a lot about how he told Eric Bischoff one day you're gonna go up to work there for Vince McMahon, see what you beat him with this this dog and pony show and this one room shack. We gotta look at what WCW's main office was, and it's literally in a strip mall. Right. And it's not even like the whole strip mall. It's just like a bay in the strip mall.
Right. Like honestly, like I was even thinking, like as I was watching, it's like they could have just went to some random mall and just filmed it and said they went there. But I agree that that's how not really flattering that their corporation was being ran out of.
Absolutely. But a security guard comes out and says he's going to have to call the police if they don't leave and take their cameras down. Then there's a shoot on Confidential where Bruce Pritchard talked about they went to the cops beforehand and let them know that was going to be happening because, I mean, they're rolling up to a building with a Jeep with a gun on it. So right. It's probably a good idea. So the cops show up and Billy Gunn says, now that the cops are here, let's go to the CNN Center. And we mentioned the Eric Bischoff promotion earlier where he left the promo saying that he's challenging Vince because Sean Waltman went to the CNN Tower in WCW knowing he wouldn't be there. This is an hour before Raw goes on the air. This is a bad idea by Eric Bischoff because he's telling everybody what DX is doing on Raw. And people are going to tune in for that because it was a massive success about them going to the Norfolk Scope last week. But we're going to see DX at the CNN Center, and they get to do photo shoots, press passes, because one of the Turner broadcast executives is a huge WWF fan. Not a great look for Eric Bischoff.
No, not at all. I mean, and that's kind of where we're getting with Eric, where he's riding that cocky line, but he's getting kind of nervous and he's making some critical, small but critical errors.
Well, Stone Cold Steve Austin was given an ultimatum. Well, not an ultimatum. He's being told what he's doing tonight in a tag team match. Kevin Kelly is backstage waiting for him, and somebody starts pounding on the door for it to be raised up. And there's the black boots. There's the jeans we've seen become accustomed to the Rattlesnake wearing. But after the gate gets all the way up, it's Al Snow for the first time on WWE TV. Listen, he's been on this person has been on WWE TV. Last time we saw him, he was Leif Cassidy of the New Rockers. This is the same character we've been seeing on ECW television with his custom mannequin head with him, and he is in full go here. And apparently, is making his debut on the Raw roster.
Right, and you can definitely tell that the audience is full entrenched in all things wrestling because they know who he was because he got a pretty good pop, and man, he was a pretty bright spot on this show because everything he did was pretty freaking hilarious.
Yeah, he listen. Jerry Lawler always had something bad to say about Al Snow, and I forgot why. We're gonna find out next week why. But I don't remember watching this in real time, so this was really cool for me to kind of take in for the first time.
Right. And we're getting to a lot of the characters that I remember to me just being there when I was watching wrestling, but they weren't, and now seeing them debut is a lot of fun because we also got somebody else coming out here pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. But and we also have a return. Vader is back, and remember he returned at Unforgiven and helped the Undertaker win the Inferno match. But he comes back to the in ring action here, and he's going to take on Barry Windham. Vader comes out and debuts the all new all black, black on red attire because he's usually got the red on black, and he actually accustomed this to being a big Spider-Man fan and kind of giving this as a nod to Venom, which I thought was really cool. Learning later in life, but Barry Windham is already in the ring, which is not really a surprise that he gets the jobber entrance. The surprising thing is he's back with all the NWA guys. Like the Midnight Express are on the outside, so is Jim Cornette. Didn't these guys just break up 3 weeks ago? What happened to that?
Thank you, because I was like, I'm going to ask Jimmy about this because I was like, I thought these guys were just not together anymore. Jim Cornette might have been with the new Midnight Express.
No, they broke up 2 weeks ago.
They broke up too?
Yeah. Oh. They broke up with Barry Windham 3 weeks before that.
Oh, my God. Like, I don't know what we're doing here. And this match was very...
pretty bad.
Yeah, and I don't know. Honestly, kind of a spoiler alert, the first hour I wasn't super impressed with in the ring.
Barry Windham is 6'4", and he tried sunset flipping a 6'3" Vader, which didn't look great. And Vader even screwed it up and accidentally lands on Barry Windham's chest here, and it looked super painful.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of allowed Windham to get out of the way and Vader to get out of the ring. And the new Midnight tried jumping Vader on the outside, but he was able to fight him off. And then we find out that Vader is going to take on Kane at Over the Edge in an unmasking match. You could see through Vader's mask. We know what he looks like. He's also been on Boy Meets World at this point. Like, it's not a big deal if he gets unmasked at the pay-per-view.
Well, and like, they really haven't even really touched on this feud other than when Vader came back, and that was a couple weeks ago already. And that,
yeah,
I have problems with this one, especially with the new level that we're getting to with Taker and Kane here.
Yeah, Vader gets back in the ring after taking care of the new Midnight on the outside. They go for the sunset flip spot again. Vader gets it corrected, sits down at the proper time, and he kind of like looks it down at Barry Windham, and he goes up and he delivers the Vader bomb. And something clearly goes wrong here because you can see Vader looking down at Barry Windham and talking to him underneath his arm for a very long time, to the point that the new Midnight got in the ring and Bart Gunn even had to wait a minute for Vader to kind of get up because Vader was clearly checking on something with Barry Windham. But this doesn't go well either. Vader sends off Bart Gunn into the ropes, gives a really kind of lame duck back body drop where he barely gets Bart Gunn up in the air. And then there's this weird standoff moment. Vader hurts Barry Windham and Bart Gunn in this moment.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but that's when I was like, this is probably why I didn't remember seeing much of Vader around this time or anymore, because he wasn't looking good and seemed gassed. I don't know.
Yeah, he looked much larger and out of shape since the last time we saw him as well.
That's I didn't know that about the Spider-Man thing, but that's what I honestly initially thought, was that he was wearing that to cover up
maybe make him look slender.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the real reason. We've been de facto celebrating the death of the Gang Wars on the show for the better part of a month and a half now. They're kind of backing away. The DOA and the Legion of Doom are in a full-on feud now. This does not go well either. Animal and 8-Ball start, like, this is going to be Hawk versus Skull at the beginning in this match, but at the beginning, Animal and 8-Ball get into a fight. I think trying to get the crowd into this, nobody cared about. Like, people are cheering for the Road Warriors. Nobody cares. Like, the DOA has been getting decent pops. They got crickets tonight.
I feel like the crowd's finally caught on. It's like there's nothing really special about these guys. And the positive thing I'll say about it is at least there was somewhat of a build to this match.
Sure.
With
fair enough.
With the LOD kind of costing them their tag title match. But yeah, it's like, do we really need this?
The only reason they needed it was to make the announcement that DX is taking on the Nation of Domination at Over the Edge. I mean, that's literally the only thing we get out of this match, and unfortunately, it continues this feud along the way. But that seemed to be the only point of them doing this tonight.
Right.
As we mentioned, DX is we cut back and DX is at the CNN Center proper now, and they're outside, and they go in asking for Ted Turner, and Billy Gunn says, "Oh, me and Ted are really good friends. Just have him come down here. I'm sure he'll send us right up." It would have been like, listen, Vince McMahon is intentionally not mentioning Eric Bischoff's name and making it about Ted Turner to lessen the value of Eric Bischoff. If they could have got Ted Turner on camera at this time, that might have ended the Monday Night Wars right there on the spot.
And I'm not saying I don't even think Ted would have been opposed to it at that.
Sure.
Because I mean, what does he have to lose? Like,
yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. Like, and it's got to be a hit to Vince's ego that it's not really a billionaire that's putting it to him. It's an executive that got hired out of pretty much obscurity.
Yeah, and listen, this is the end of the 83 weeks, man. This is the WWE's won 3 weeks in a row. So we're at the 86th week at this point of the long Nitro run, and they're going to win a few more between now and the end. But this is not one of those weeks, and a lot of it's due to this. And keep in mind, this is a legitimate ratings war where companies are threatening to put the other one out of business. A guy by the name of Dick Cheatham, who is one of the high-level executives at Turner Broadcasting at this time, comes down while DX is being thrown out of the CNN Center and is telling security to leave them alone, and they're here for a reason, and they're good, and they can record whatever they want. Dick Cheatham, who is like third in command underneath Ted Turner, is giving DX a press pass to take a tour around the building and telling them they can record whatever they want. They get him on camera doing the suck it crotchet shop. They're taking pictures with Turner executives in the building. I can't imagine that Tuesday was very friendly for Dick Cheatham.
Probably not, but at the same time, I can definitely see where he's coming from, because it's like it's still bringing eyes to them in a way, you know. Yeah, I'm sure it's the hot act over in the opposing company, but you know that's happening under their roof, so that's got to be good for them. So I applaud that move.
I thought it was incredibly dumb. I don't think he had any idea that they were at war with the WWF. I just think he was a big time wrestling fan, didn't care.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and again, back to that confidential episode. I mean, that's Hunter talked about that, and they have all the footage of that. And Bruce Pritchard was like, "We thought Dick Cheatham was great. We were very appreciative of that." We get another Edge vignette here. We get another promo for him with the same voiceover from a week ago. Him running and screaming at the camera. We all know he ends up being a Hall of Fame level guy, but This is just a weird circumstance.
It's weird, but in a way, it's intriguing because. You know, like Lost Boys
really,
at the time, I thought were like.
I thought it was intriguing in a sense that okay, it's a new guy, but I mean, this is at the same time as the Risque Val Venus vignettes. Like, this is like a weird time to do this style of vignette when we got the porn star guy debuting literally next week.
That's fair. But no, I guess my point to it was like. That was kind of like a fad at the time, you know. Lost Boys was kind of out around that time.
Yeah, sure, 100%,
and whatnot. But I digress. You know, they're gonna follow the porn guy opposed to the guy that's just running the streets.
Jenna Jameson was just on TV last week, folks. We've been talking about this for a while. One of the sub storylines of Raw has been Club Kamikaze and their like attack on certain superstars. They started feuding with Taka Michinoku, and then they kind of like left him alone, and now they've been targeting Bradshaw. And we go backstage, and Bradshaw is teaching Taka how to drive because, you know, racism. But Club Kamikaze jumps Bradshaw and Taka as they're coming back around the block, and we get the announcement. This is actually Kai and Tai, and the gentleman that was wearing the mask last week is not. He makes that announcement. But we've been waiting for this to switch. I don't ever remember them debuting as Club Kamikaze, so that was kind of cool.
I agree. I thought it was just always Kai and Tai, and maybe they realized that even in the 90s that name's, you know, not super suitable. Maybe we should.
We could talk about not speaking English and being short and not able to drive, but we can't talk about kamikazes.
Right. Sure. But one little side note off of pre the attack in the car, when Bradshaw is trying to teach him, but with the cigars in hand and whatnot, this reminded me of kind of like a
prelude to the APA.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of great segue, because up next is Farouk and Jeff Jarrett. And I the one thing I've been struggling with, not struggling with, but like trying to identify, is the moment we go from Farouk, the leader of the Nation of Domination, to Farouk, the acolyte. And I've been trying, and obviously Bradshaw's going to be a part of that equation as well. Um, but like this lost period where he's just not the leader of the Nation of Domination, I don't think it's talked enough about in Ron Simmons' career, because he's not only did he usher in those four guys in the Nation, but like his tutelage over Ken Shamrock and Steve Blackman. I don't know if that gets talked about enough.
No, I don't think it does, because like he's an unsung hero. Like there's too many
100%.
bigger personalities around him that he didn't get the flowers that he deserved. But you're right. He's bringing up and
watching him in the ring has been one of my guilty pleasures of this rewatch. Is obviously he's the first ever Black World Heavyweight Champion, and that gets talked about as it should.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy could just go, and this is what 10 years removed from him beating Vader for that title,
right?
And the fact that he is still performing at this high of a level, and we haven't even gotten to the acolytes and the APA stuff yet. I mean, it's just a testament to how good he truly was.
Right, and full circle, like we just talked about how not great Vader looked earlier the night, and
sure.
look at Ron Simmons here. So yeah, I am in 100% agreement with you.
Farouk takes on Jeff Jarrett next, and Jarrett is a little distracted because Farouk has Steve Blackman with him. Those two have been feuding, and Steve Blackman brings his nunchucks out, and you're going to want to pay attention to that because that comes back out to bite Blackman in the butt. But the weird thing about this is Farouk and Blackman are supposed to be the faces here, and they keep doing heel tactics. Like Jeff Jarrett gets thrown on the outside, and Steve Blackman is getting some shots in. And here's the meat and potatoes of the night, because my God, Steve Blackman kicked Jeff Jarrett's ribcage through his spine with this kick right here, where he lays in the bicycle kick on the outside. But Farouk dominates this whole match, and then he actually goes to set up the Dominator, and then the Nation runs down. Steve Blackman tries to make the save, and I guess we have two pieces of the meat and potatoes of the night, because Jeff Jarrett lays this nunchuck shot in. I don't know if these were gimmick nunchucks, and I kind of hope they were, because the echo in that arena was numbing.
Yeah, and even if they were gimmicked, like the grimace on Steve Blackman's face, I was like, that still hurt like a bitch. Mm-hmm. I can tell. But yeah, very, very stiff matches, and a big step up from the in-ring quality we had throughout the night earlier in the show, because we were getting some crap matches early on.
Well, that brings us to the end of the first hour, because we end the first hour with Kevin Kelly still backstage, but a car comes squealing in. And it's the Texas Rattlesnake. Stone Cold Steve Austin is in the building, and he's here to address Vince McMahon. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, it's the start of the War Zone. And Stone Cold Steve Austin is not a very happy camper. He said that Austin said that Briscoe, Patterson, McMahon, you can't even call them the Three Stooges. They're more like the Three Jackasses. And he's not a tag team wrestler anymore and wants to know where Vince McMahon is. Kevin Kelly says, I don't know. And he goes, well, then you aren't worth a damn. And he steals the microphone from KK and just starts walking through the building. I thought it was really interesting. He actually walks by Triple H reading a script here, and the camera tries to cut away as soon as they can because of that. But they clearly caught it on camera.
Right. I was actually wondering. I was like, was that intentional? I was like, yeah, it looked like he was going over notes.
I don't think he was supposed to be there. Yeah, maybe don't be by the Golden Goose walking by. I don't know.
And we didn't even know they were back yet from WCW headquarters.
Right, because we actually see them at the CNN Center again here.
Right.
But when we come back, they give us a shot of some of the Baltimore Ravens in attendance, and Pro Bowler Tony Saragusa is in attendance, former defensive lineman for the Ravens. And then the glass shatters. And my God, what a reaction Austin gets here.
Oh man, and this is the first. They might have been out since before this, but this is the first time I'm noticing the foam middle fingers, and they are not blurring out people's middle fingers. They
sure aren't.
They got the green light. It appears to pretty much go as far as they can.
We often give you the sign of the night, and we're going to give you that in a minute, but we're going to give you the fan of the night, because this is a moment that gets replayed a lot, surprisingly, like in Attitude Era rewatches and the Monday Night Wars and all that, is the well-endowed brunette who is pointing at her Stone Cold Steve Austin shirt. And I don't know why that gets replayed so much. She's obviously a very lovely young lady, but she's got the low cut shirt on, and she is a big Stone Cold Steve Austin fan.
That's the first thing I thought. I was like, I think that's Stone Cold girl. Like all the
Yeah.
video packages, it's always been her. So check out this episode if that's who you've been waiting to see.
Mike, you did a good job of talking about the hype job that JR gives to Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was obviously in rare form last week, but he was almost screaming about how awesome Austin was here, just trying to get his guy over.
Oh yes, and why have JR just go ape shit about it, because he's got the gift of gab, and he can sell. What's the Tommy Boy line? Ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves.
Yes.
JR could have been a promoter just all on his own. So
this is peak Jim Ross screaming for Stone Cold here, and he's just talking about how the deck is being stacked against him and what champion in history has had to deal with this. But Stone Cold grabs the microphone and says that Vince McMahon needs to come out and address him. He asked who his number one contender was last week. Vince said he didn't know, and he said that if he's going to be a man, come out and be a man about it and tell him who his tag team partner is tonight. And then we hear Vince McMahon's voice come over the speaker. And he said he's having a board of directors meeting. Then we see him, Briscoe, and Patterson in the back in the dressing room. He says Austin's title hopes are going over the edge. And they're talking about who the opponents are and who his partners are. And Gerald Briscoe says he doesn't know. And Pat Patterson said he doesn't know. And then they do the hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil thing.
Very cheesy.
Was really weird and really out of time. But Austin says you can cover your ears, your mouth, and your eyes, but you won't be able to cover your ass. That's where I'm going to stick this when it's all said and done. It shows them the WWF Championship. This was fantastic.
I was like, oh man, that hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil, like hand gestures was like so cringe. But then Austin's line is like, okay, worth it.
And then we get what we get next. We get Sable versus Mark Amaro next. And Sable has called out Mark Amaro 3 weeks ago. We got a training vignette last week of her preparing for this match. Sable comes out first, and then she calls her husband out, and he comes out, and Sable goes, I can't believe you're going to go through with this. This was her idea.
Yeah, I don't know what we were doing. I mean, obviously, this is bordering really bad lines here, but it's like you have been selling this for the last 2 weeks, and now I can't believe we're gonna do this. But real quick before we covered this whole segment, we had the historic episode of the Stone Cold lady being seen on TV.
We do.
We also get in the same episode the moment that Mark Maro's future
career
push
died.
Gets squashed. Yep.
Yeah, because he picks her up for a TKO and then sets her back down and says, "Are we done here?" And Sable shakes her head and goes, "Now I want you to apologize to me for ruining my WWF career." It hasn't happened yet. Here it is. Sable gives him a nut shot and then gives him the Sable bomb. And Mark Maro's gone on record post his WWF career and said this is the moment where his push to take on Stone Cold Steve Austin for the WWF Championship was squandered because Stone Cold Steve Austin said, if your wife can beat you, if his wife can beat him, who's going to believe he's a viable threat against me? It's hard to disagree with a rattlesnake here.
You can't. That's what I love about Steve is like he said it himself. He would put anybody over as long as it made sense.
Yeah.
And that would not make sense, even just to challenge Steve. So it's like, who's going to buy to see that if he just got beat up by Sable?
Yeah, and she gets up the top of the ramp and blows him a kiss and waves goodbye, and it looks like they have officially split on screen for now. This is fine, I guess. I mean, we're also dangerously close to the Sable heel turn that nobody wanted, so there's that too.
And and I'll give it a huge reaction, a positive reaction from the fans. So I mean, you got that, and that's one of Sable's like high spots in her on and off 4-year career there.
Yeah. What we got last week was Jerry Lawler in what I thought was really ahead of the times and very cool moment where he wasn't supposed to be on camera and it was accidentally left rolling, and him and Paul Bear were joking back and forth about him laying with the Undertaker's mother. And then the receipt comes this week because Lawler's as he tends to do, drooling over Sable walking away, and then the dead man shows up. The Undertaker just walks up unannounced, and decks Lawler and throws him into the ring, throws a chair into the ring. The King eats a choke slam here, and obviously after he said some unflattering things about the Undertaker's mom, he's going to finish the deal, sets him up for the tombstone, and then the lights go out. And JR gave us the line of the night when Taker picked up King for the tombstone, says, we can say goodbye to Seinfeld and we can say goodbye to the King, because this is 2 days removed from the end of the Seinfeld series as well. But obviously the lights go out, the organ plays. Here comes Paul Bear and Kane. Paul Bear says the truth hurts so bad, either that or Taker doesn't believe a single word that he has said in regards to him being Paul Bear being Kane's father. And he says, but I told you your brother was still alive. You didn't believe that. And here he is. And he says that next week he's going to prove that he's Kane's father.
I
guess we've gone from Jerry Springer to the Maury Povich show.
That was a damn good line though by Paul Bear. It's like, you didn't believe that he was he was alive, did you? But no, that when he just showed up behind Jerry, I popped a little bit.
It was fantastic.
That was pretty cool.
This is much better than the terrible graveyard scene 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and honestly, it was kind of freakier than just having the gong hit first and then him just showing up. Just have him just walk up to people unannounced.
Yeah, this I can't believe they didn't do this more often, because this really, really worked.
It reminded me of like when you're younger and like the kids on your block, like there's that one little shithead that keeps egging on the big guy, and then he finally catches him.
I mean, this might have been the actual prelude to the way that the Undertaker showed up behind AJ Styles in the Boneyard match, actually.
That's right.
But Paul Bear and Kane exit, and Jerry Lawler is shown getting up, and then Taker delivers the tombstone, which leaves a spot open at the commentator's desk. Al Snow reappears. Remember, he had a ticket earlier in the show. I don't know if we mentioned that, but he had a ticket to get in. He was looking for a seat, and he shows up and tells JR, I need to talk to Vince McMahon. He's wearing his Job Squad t-shirt, and clearly he'd been at ECW, and JR goes, I can only imagine why you need to talk to the boss, because Al Snow is clearly looking for a job here. But he's talking to his mannequin head, and we're seeing this character for the first time of his split personalities and dealing with the voices in his head. The security guards come out with Pat Patterson, which I thought was a really nice touch, because we've kind of seen Sergeant Slaughter in that role, and having Pat Patterson just on TV more to show that he's an authority figure to remove Al Snow was great. But to your point, Al Snow gets in the ring and does the head celebration from ECW, and this crowd is eating it alive. I mean, we're not that far from Philadelphia and Baltimore, but I mean, this crowd was all over it here.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it, and it's like, we're coming up here for the next couple of years, and Al Snow's got a lot of good stuff, sprinkled throughout.
Yeah,
I mean, there's some bad stuff like Kennel from Hell.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of good stuff he does with Foley and the hardcore title, and obviously the head. Like when he put the headset on the mannequin head, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, listen, he's come a long way from Leaf Cassidy, folks.
Yes.
We get Triple H versus Owen Hart again next. And now the roles have changed a little bit. I mean, DX is clearly full on face now.
I think that he finally just said, screw it. You guys are face.
Whether they wanted to or not, it was happening. They were getting cheered.
Which I think is why they ended up just quickly pivoting to LOD versus DOA, because it's agree. Okay, these guys are faces. We're done with that.
We get the final look at DX invading the CNN Center, and Triple H says, they'll fire the final shot in the war, and here it is. This is even for 1998, folks. This is about as cheesy as it gets. Sean Waltman's first returning promo from when he returned was really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a little lackluster since then.
That's what I was starting the wheels were turning a little bit. We talked a lot about Shawn Michaels' demons, and it's pretty well noted too that Sean Waltman had problems too, and I know his was kind of throughout his career. Like, I'm not saying he was on anything heavy at this point, but like, I don't know, he was he was just talking a lot of nonsense.
Yeah, he was, and he seemed a little discombobulated for sure during this. But listen, the Road Dogg grabs the microphone and kind of saves the interview with the ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. And it is just getting more and more and more popular with every single week.
Yes. Oh yeah, man. He's got just such a good smooth rhythm with it too. Like we talked last week about I was probably better on the stick than Triple H like ever was. So
yeah. Listen, he was so good at this lady right here that you see on your screen was absolutely baffled by it and thought this was the greatest thing she's ever heard. So there's also that aspect of it.
right.
But then we get the Triple H, Billy Gunn grabs the microphone and says, "You're either with us or." And Road Dogg gets back on the microphone and says, "Yo ass better call somebody," which I think is the first time we hear that as well.
Yes. Oh, other than his, he says it in his music or like his entrance theme, but I don't think he's ever said it in the promo before.
Yeah, we definitely in the promo for sure. And then Triple H grabs the microphone and says, "Are you ready?" And Baltimore loses it. And then he goes, "No, no, no. I said, are you ready?" And it gets even louder.
Yep.
And then here comes Owen Hart. He doesn't even get into the shtick, and Owen Hart comes out. And the weird thing is, like, we hear Owen Hart before we see him, and then his mic cuts out. Like, he was talking just fine, and then he wasn't. So I don't know if this was a kick the leg out of your leg situation or what was happening here. But
and then maybe do you know the enough is enough line? Was that his actual music? Because I know that becomes his music.
Yes,
or was he actually saying it this time?
That's the beginning. That's like, you know how every member of the nation now has like their tagline at the beginning of it. That's his. Okay. So yeah, which is fine, I guess. But he says we have some unfinished business, and coming out, and Owen Hart starts walking to the ring, and it looks like he's going to take on DX by himself. Then he turns and pivots to the back and points, and here comes the Nation of Domination. I mean, this is essentially why Owen joined the Nation.
Mm-hmm.
Was this moment right here, so he could have some backup against D-Generation X. And we get we go to commercial break, and then we get the 1-800-COLLECT rewind from last week, where we get the highlight of China in the 8-man tag. And if you missed it, go back and check out our review of Monday Night Raw from last week on the channel. And Jim Cornette comes out to fill in for Jerry the King Lawler, which, like, I mean, Corny's great here. I thought he was really good, but like, we've been doing this thing where up until this point where we've been switching out commentators by the hour anyway. So I didn't know why we needed to beat up Jerry Lawler to officially do it here, but this is just kind of a weird spot.
Yeah, it was like, Michael Cole couldn't have been on vacation, because I think he just said a line recently that he's never taken a vacation in his 28 years or whatever. But where the hell was he at? Like, we couldn't have thrown him out there.
Well, Kevin Kelly's already been in the backstage interviewing people. Like,
anyway. Like, to me, it kind of like contradicted Cornette's character. I mean, yes, you can have the heel commentator, and he was doing that, but he was kind of out of the Cornette character, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I wonder how much truth is to this, too, because throughout the show, Jim Ross talks about how he didn't have a format, wasn't sure what was going on. Like, I find that really hard to believe, considering how much of a professional Jim Ross is and how detail-oriented he is, that he didn't know what was happening. I think that was more of a storyline. He just mentioned it a couple times, including twice in this match, which is why I think it's really interesting. But this is a back-and-forth match, and Owen finally gets the upper hand, and he's finally going to get his comeuppance on DX. But he bites Triple H's ear, a la Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield style. And he bit Ken Shamrock 3 weeks ago when he turned and had blood dripping out of his mouth. And they keep referencing the blood dripping from Owen's mouth. The problem is there's no blood dripping from Owen's mouth throughout this entire segment. But Owen goes to drop the leg drop from the top rope, and China knocks him off. And we get this big pull apart where China has a chair and is holding off the Nation. But, and then actually Triple H clotheslines Owen over the top rope at the end of this thing too. So Owen Hart still doesn't get his comeuppance on DX.
No, and I did not like the way they kind of introduced the Nation and DX feud. I thought it could have been a lot better by even how they started it with Owen coming down to the ring by himself. But then they should have had him smirk, and then all of them just get jumped, and then just leave them.
They should have him come from behind, not the entranceway.
Right.
I agree.
And just leave them laying. Don't even do a match.
Well, and it would have more solidified DX's faces, in my opinion, too.
Yes, and they got this good feud, and in the Nation and DX. Well, more so Triple H versus Rock. But yeah, that's if there's one good thing about Owen joining the Nation, it's that we got this ladder match at SummerSlam coming up in a few months.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some really good bangers coming up here in the next few weeks.
Yes.
We go back to the back, or no, sorry, a really weird country music song starts playing, and Jim Cornette goes, "What is this?" And JR goes, "Well, it's called music." It's a great line. But Goldust comes out, and he's not in face paint. He's in street clothes, and he's got a garbage can, his outfit, and gas with him. Cornette asks, "What is this, a magic show? Where's his beautiful assistant?" Now, clearly, that's a reference to magicians usually having attractive women as their showpiece. This kind of felt like a dig at Goldust and not having Marlena by his side at the same time.
Yeah, and this is a very odd promo, and we got very audible slurs being yelled at by fans. I don't know, because it feels like Vince had a fad of sending wrestlers out of their huge gimmick that they're
specifically at this time.
Yes, because I believe Vader does it, Undertaker does it. It's
Taker does it because he and Vince were having some words about a contract at that time.
Oh,
so that was not Vince McMahon's choice.
True.
But Goldust comes out and he says that he's Dustin Rhodes, and he blames Vince McMahon for his problems with his father, Dusty Rhodes, and his wife, Terry, and his daughter, Dakota, which he uses their real names. He said that Goldust says Vince McMahon punished him because he couldn't beat Stone Cold Steve Austin. He almost says stunning Steve Austin here, but he says Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he says that Goldust dies here and tonight, and he throws his robe, his wig in the trash can, lights it on fire, and celebrates it, and says Vince McMahon will never forget the name of Dustin, and walks away.
Yeah, and maybe any other time period that might have been more effective, but they did nothing.
Yeah, people really like the Goldust character, and they were like, even the weird stuff he's been doing the past couple of months with the artist formerly known as, like, he was still getting big reactions.
Yeah,
nobody cared about this.
No, and we end up seeing him randomly later on at the very end, but
yeah,
I don't remember this phase in his career, so I know it's not a good spot, I believe, in his personal life, but
definitely like that. They're freshly divorced, so
yes, and it's, I don't know, I don't like them the way that Vince used to do that and put it on TV for everyone.
Yeah. Speaking of which, there was an Edge vignette today. Speaking of Vince McMahon, he's backstage and he's talking to somebody. We can't see who he's talking to, and he says that Stone Cold Steve Austin has never had a physical specimen, easy for me to say, like you as a tag team partner, and you guys will get along great. And we got a commercial break, and we come back and we get Too Cold Scorpio and Flash Funk versus Kai and Tai. We are a week removed from Terry Funk being in the main event in an absolute banger of a hardcore match that was a match of the year candidate. And now we're just back to him and Too Cold Scorpio being a tag team, and they're taking on Kai and Tai.
And I tried to remember that it's Terry Funk, give it a little slack, but I'm like, couldn't we kept him off TV for a week or two, like to sell like what Mick
they had a knockdown drag out last week, and Mick's not in action here for probably that reason.
Right. I hated that part. I hated that Terry was out there. Oh, I mean, the match was fine, like the in-ring part, but that was the only thing that I had a gripe about.
I really loved Kai and Tai's moveset here and how they just kept everything as a triple tandem, and it looked fantastic.
Yes.
But this was absolutely the other reason this didn't make sense is they didn't need to do it. This is a nothing match. Bradshaw and Taka Michinoku run down to make the save and chase Kai and Tai off after 3 minutes and 12 seconds, and that's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
No. The only thing really cool, funny that I got out of it was when they did the triple drop kick on one of them. It actually popped Cornette. He's like, a triple drop kick. I've never seen one of that before.
Yeah, they don't do that too often in the Southern Wrestling Belt, apparently. Obviously this is just a filler match to get us to the main event, because that's what we get next. And as I mentioned, Jim Ross several times just mentions that he doesn't have a format, doesn't know why things are happening, and the Nation comes out. There's 7 minutes left in the show, so it kind of feels like Jim Ross should know why they're here. They're a tag team stable. They're supposed to be a tag team match. But the Nation comes out, and The Rock grabs the mic, and he says the rivalry between Stone Cold Steve Austin reignites tonight. And he said that unless Austin's tag team partner is Godzilla, he's going to lay the smackdown on him tonight. And then Jim Ross is like, oh my God, it's going to be the Nation versus Stone Cold. Like, definitely a little bit of an oversell here by JR. But
yeah,
the glass shatters and Stone Cold Steve Austin comes down by himself. And he gets in the ring. And out of nowhere, we hear Vince McMahon's voice. Vince McMahon says that he is going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin's tag team partner. He comes out with Gerald Briscoe and Pat Patterson, and he's posing up on the stage and gets up on the corner. Jim Ross makes fun of Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan on the other channel at this stage because for the third time in 7 weeks, we get Hogan versus Savage in the main event on Nitro. And he says that Austin and Rock are not senior citizens, and this is not the PGA Masters Tour. And just referencing the age of the guys on the other channel, just to make sure if you're thinking about switching over, this is going to be a lot better.
I think I know what you're going to say for the most part, but just want to ballpark it here. How much do you think JR actually gives two shits about WCW at this point? When it
Zero.
comes
to... I mean, he almost diminishes him as much as he possibly can. So,
right. I mean, like the words he's using. Do you think that's his or like Vince's?
Oh,
like...
it's definitely definitely Vince's. I mean, JR's openly talked about how he hated doing stuff like this because he was trying to do as little as he could to reference the other channel so people weren't turning it over.
Right. I just was like, oh man, like I just know, like hearing what I know about JR, it's like I just feel like he hated doing that.
Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I know this may be very hard to believe, is over like Rover here. The guy, everything he does, it doesn't matter if he's getting hit, he's hitting somebody, he's picking his nose here, whatever it is, it's getting a large, massive response. And they made sure to get all of the Stone Cold shit in. He's doing the Luthez press. He's hitting stunners. He's doing everything he can here. He's getting knocked over the railing. He's taking out the guys on the outside. I thought they did a really good job of showcasing Steve, but it really felt like they did an even better job showcasing D'Lo and The Rock in this match, who, by the way, D'Lo is The Rock's partner here.
Yeah, and, those are two of the three that are going to be in that big 6-man at the pay-per-view. Yeah. So, got to showcase, one of your big, another one of your marquee matches. And, it's pretty good. Like, I know Vince is out there and we pretty much just got ourselves a handicap match, but, it's very smooth, tight wrestling. And coming up here towards the end of the match, I'm going to call it a hot tag, even though there was no tag made. It's probably my favorite hot tag ever, what Stone Cold and Vince do.
Let's get into it. After Austin is thrown on the outside, he gets thrown into the steps, he gets thrown into the railing, gets thrown in the ring. D'Lo does this really cool, like, adjacent elbow drop thing that I thought looked like $1 million. But Austin hits a clothesline, hits a stunner, and goes to turns to Vince McMahon. Instead of tagging him in, he gives him the double fingers. And McMahon comes in the ring and actually he clotheslines Stone Cold. So he knocks down his own tag team partner here. And then Austin gets the better of D'Lo, gets the better of The Rock, gets the better of McMahon, goes to get the cover. Rock tries to drop an elbow. Austin moves, gets his own tag team partner. Austin delivers a stunner. And then Mick Foley hits the ring. We get this pull apart with Dude Love. But to your point, Stone Cold Steve Austin rolls to the outside of the ring, double headbutts the Stooges, gets back into the ring to fight Mick. The numbers kind of get the better of Austin, and here comes Goldust to break up the save. Fade to black. Very weird ending to this show.
Yeah, like it's just a schmoz that included a lot of people that had no business being in the like out there. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just maybe it was just kind of like, you know what, guys, we're doing good. Get out there and have fun.
Well, it's weird for a couple reasons though, because it kind of feels like they're pivoting to a Dude Love Goldust feud. Because the stuff that Mick said about Goldust last week, now he's coming down to interrupt the interference by Foley here. So instead of like driving the Austin Dude Love feud, it kind of feels like, okay, let's fuel the fire to Austin McMahon and like give Dude Love something else to do at the same time.
Yeah, it really makes zero sense. Like maybe they're like, this is all speculation, but like who knows if there was talks about, give it a good push to Dustin Rhodes there or Goldust, and what's going on with him personally. It wasn't, going so well, so they had to pull the plug on it. I have no clue what's going on with that right now, though.
Well, that ends the show for us. And as we mentioned, Nitro and Raw, first time they've been head-to-head in over 3 weeks because of the NBA playoffs. This is the first time since 1995 that Raw and Nitro draw the exact same rating. And the reason that's interesting is because on that night, they both drew a 2.2. Tonight, they draw a 4.9, almost 3 million more people paying attention to both shows. That's just an incredible number.
Absolutely. I don't. We'll never be in that day and age again to have those huge numbers.
Nobody's drawing a 4 in this day and age with the advent of streaming. But it's time to grade the show, Mike. Go ahead and give us your grade for the night.
Like I said, it's pretty much on par with last week. I did go a little bit lower. I went with just a flat B. Pretty good stuff, but there's a lot of junk on this one opposed to last week.
I gave it a B+. I thought it was a really good show, specifically the second hour. Next week is going to be really interesting. Stone Cold gets the Stooges in the main event. That's right. We get Pat Patterson, Gerald Briscoe versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, the main event of Monday Night Raw. We get the in-ring debut of Val Venus. We get Paul Bear's DNA test for some reason. Vince McMahon addresses the Goldust situation. Jerry Lawler has a new security guard. And the NBA playoffs are derailing Nitro again. We got a ton more to get into. You're not going to want to miss it. Like and subscribe to Analyzing Attitude below. Give us an oh, hell yeah down in the comments.
Oh, hell yeah.
We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. That was just a glimpse into what Analyzing Attitude has to offer. If you liked what you saw here, here's what we suggest next for you. And
if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
Like and subscribe.